Hello everyone and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday the 29th of July 2024, the last one in July for 2024, and then you know what August brings, don't you? Yes, that's the start of the new season. It's scary here again, and as I say, the week is finally here. You know what? Sometimes the close season can drag, and sometimes it goes by absolutely lightning fast, and this is one of the lightning fast ones for me. And I think probably that's because primarily because of the Euros. We had 4 weeks of football there, and then I like to watch the tennis, so we had Wimbledon, and we've got the Olympics now, and then we've obviously had the pre-season friendlies and the transfer activity throughout the entirety of the close season, and we're in a situation now where it's this week, it's business time again, and before you know it, we're going to be right back in the thick of things with league fixtures, League Cup fixtures, and European games about to descend upon us very, very quickly here. And honestly, I can't remember a time when we went into a new season with such, I don't know, what's the word, atmosphere, with such a feeling that we have right now, or certainly for me anyway. I'll maybe just talk primarily for myself. You know, when maybe the only comparison would have been when we were down the leagues back in, 2013, 14, 15, that kind of thing. And, once we kind of got over the shock, it just quickly became about, right, okay, how can we quickly manifest ourselves back up to the Premiership as quickly as possible? So that was kind of like a wee bit different. But this close season has been obviously somewhat disrupted with the Euros lasting for a month and kind of delaying significant transfer activities, albeit we did do a lot of business in the early stages, but we haven't had that one or two or three, I guess, signings that has gotten the whole support excited. The clear out does appear to be happening, albeit a tad slower than I thought it would. But obviously, we've still got over a month to go, and then add on to that, we've got the CEO departure and the hassle that caused. Obviously, because it was quite a quick departure, and then the situation with the stadium and not really knowing where we're going to be playing for the home games, certainly for the start of the season, and it's all kind of accumulated to, I don't know, it's not so much dreading the new season, but certainly not chomping at the bit to get going and prove what we're really about, which is typically what this time of the year usually is for us. It's one of these things where you're getting excited, you've got the new kit, you've got some new signings, you've got some new hope, and I guess some information or data that says this season's going to be different, these are the reasons why. And we kind of don't have that yet, do we? And maybe we don't get that kind of feeling of optimism until we're actually in the thick of the action and seeing how the team performs. And I don't know, I guess we'll see. And as always, we have, not always, but as always, in 12 of the last 13 years, we have a tough away game to start with. Well, I guess that's not 12 of the last 13, is it? Because we had the down the leagues there, but we're away from home on the first game of the season, of course, and that's this Saturday against Hearts with I believe it's a 5:30 kick-off at Tynecastle, and that's a tough one. Hearts always give us a really good game, but it's always been very competitive. I don't think there's certainly never been any blowouts that I can remember, and we've given them their fair share of pastings over there. So I'm really, really hoping that that's the case. And then, of course, this week we're going to find out who our opponents are going to be in the Champions League third round qualification, and it's looking likely that it's going to be Dynamo Kiev after they won 6-2 in their home leg last week there, and we'll find out, I believe we find out on Wednesday this week when that's going to be. The first game is going to be on the 6th or the 7th, and we'll find out a bit more about the television details for that once we know who it actually is. And then, of course, we wrapped up our pre-season, or certainly the formal part of our pre-season, with a 4-4 draw at Union Berlin on Saturday. And I have to admit, I know I do say that I don't care about friendlies. I don't, but I put this one on in the background as I was kind of pottering about and missed some of the goals, seen them on replay. But two great goals, actually four great goals from us. I thought, two from Lawrence, two from Dessers, who seems to just be getting it tight from every angle these days. Some very questionable defending by the team, I have to say, for the goals that we lost, and some brilliant attacking play. So Philippe Clement was happy enough afterwards, and I don't know, to me it felt like a small victory not to get beat again, and then finally to get amongst the goals. We'd obviously only scored a single goal in a couple of the pre-season friendlies prior to that, so it was a bit of a worry that we didn't really know where the goals were going to come from. And as I say, that's the end of the formal pre-season now, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this work has contributed to us starting the season, what that's going to look like. Are we going to start with confidence? Are we going to start with fervour? Are we going to start with 3 points, which is the main thing? Or is it going to be a sluggish start? I'm not 100% sure. I would very, very much rather not have a repeat of the start of last season, if at all possible, to avoid that. So I guess we'll just see what Saturday brings. But I'm just not as excited for a start of a season as I should be and as I'd love to be. And that doesn't mean I'm dreading it. It doesn't mean that I'm doom and gloom or thinking that it's going to be bad. I'm just kind of puzzled. I'm kind of like, I don't know what's actually going to happen here. So I guess we'll just need to see. On to RTV, we have put a call out, of course, for the survey. I did ask for clarification earlier today what clubs, hadn't responded yet. Not that I was going to name and shame the clubs who haven't responded yet, but just to get an idea of what delinquent clubs are out there, because there are always delinquent clubs. That's easy for me to say when it comes to the RTV survey, but. I haven't got that information yet. But if your club members need any individual vouchers for this season, please do let me know before Saturday. If you let me know on Saturday morning that you need a voucher, you're not going to get one, because I'll just be up and I'll be watching the game like everyone else. I don't fancy working on Saturday, so you have 5 days to get me a list, and I know that those are trickling in already. So tell me what your club is, tell me the name of the member of the club and the email address associated with that member, and we will get an RTV voucher over there that's commensurate with what the club selection is in terms of the offerings from RTV for this year, whether it's every single game, whether it's weekend only, whether it's RTV exclusive only. So please do get that to me, and we'll get that on the newsletter for this week. The newsletter is going to be resurrected this week as we lead into the new season. On the shout-outs, very, very little this week, I guess, to the new players coming in and to those leaving us. Last week I was giving Tav a little bit of plaudits for everything that he's done with us, because I just had this feeling that he was going to leave, and then he played on Saturday as if he had already left. Yeah, that was definitely not one of his better games, I have to say. And of course Connor Goldson left just I think basically before the Birmingham game to go to Cyprus by all accounts to finalise his deal. I sit here on Monday morning, haven't heard anything about either of the two of them. That's just odd to me. The transfers used to be conducted. Do you know what I think it is? I think we've got access now to much more information than we did before. So before, we didn't really hear anything. There would be maybe a rumour on a radio, there'd be something on Super Scoreboard, there'd be something in the newspapers, and then all of a sudden the transfer would be done. And I suspect the transfers back in the day were a little bit less complicated in terms of the content and the intent and spirit from both parties. But now we've got access to a lot more information through social media and through kind of roving reporters basically everywhere in the world. So I don't know if we just get that access provides us an idea that, transfers are usually 2 weeks long, but we just thought they happened overnight because we heard about it one day and the player signed the next day. Not 100% sure. But anyway, for the folks that are leaving, thank you very much for everything. For the folks that are staying, good luck with the rest of the season, and for any new entrants, really looking forward to getting a bit excited about what the club are going to do here. And of course the big one for last week in terms of departures was Sam Lammers off to FC 20 in the Eredivisie, I don't know how to say it, the Dutch league, and I think that's likely a transfer that's best for everyone. I can't remember a player over the last few years who came in and then it was decided by the support that he was not he was not fit for a blue jersey so quickly, and the guy just couldn't do right for doing wrong, unfortunately. So good for him for getting his move, and that's one less headache for us to manage it. And just another shout out here. It's not actually a shout out. It's just more of a general conversation point. But this is the first time I can remember. Again, I'm not paying much attention to this sort of stuff, but all three kits are out before the start of the domestic season. I don't recall a time of doing that. Maybe the home kit and the away kit would be out before the start of the season, and then the third kit would come at some point a little bit later on. But all three kits are out now. The third one was launched last week. Looks really nice, and not an orange kit in sight. I guess they're going to give us a wee bit of a breather on the orange kits for this season, and maybe resurrect it next year. But we have, of course, our royal blue for our home kit, the white for the away kit, and this kind of smash up of red and blue for the third kit. So yeah, I don't know if that's a commercial, obviously it's a commercial decision, but I'd love to know the strategy behind it, I guess, is probably the best way to say it, because that's a lot of money for people to outlay on shirts. My understanding is they're something like £80 or £100, and whatever that translates to in the currency for wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this. That's a lot of cash, and then add in your season ticket if you're back home or remote. Of course, you can own a season ticket remotely at the same time, and it's just one of these things that Rangers are getting their money up front, just in case the season starts badly and they say, well, we've already got it, you're not going to get a refund. I don't know, that's been a wee bit cynical. On to the convention. I can officially confirm it's 318 days and 45 weeks until we descend upon Kissimmee in Osceola County, and that is, of course, June the 12th to the 15th, 2025, and that's going to be hosted at Omni Orlando at Champions Gate. Just another reminder, if you missed the last few pods, that the alcohol pricing is domestic beer is $6.50, import beer is $7.50, call brand drinks are $7.50, bottled water soft drinks are $6, and I am awaiting information about the wine. I did get that question, and I'm just still waiting to hear back from them in terms of what the brand typically would be and the costs for the wine at the same time. We are still considering entertainment options and the golf. I was kind of hoping I was going to get information about the golf last week, but that wasn't forthcoming, so I assume it will be this week now. The guy was quite confident it was going to be a couple of weeks out, so that would place us in this week, and then we'll get information there out as quickly as we possibly can. Just a quick reminder, of course, that the rooms are formally out for sale right now. They're $199 plus 14.5% tax, which is roughly about $228-ish per night, US dollars that is. And the first night deposit will be taken off your credit card as well. So if that's in any way material for you, please wait until it is, I guess I should say, safe to do so in terms of your credit card. And we are working through the ticket pricing. I'm really hoping to get that. I don't think it's going to be later this week now. I can't see that. Maybe it's going to be early next week, maybe on the back of a fantastic victory at Tynecastle. That would be kind of handy. And on the NARSA Convention Stories, I was promised a story last week. The story never materialised last week. I was then doubly promised a story for this week about a convention experience, and then yesterday I was given the big rubber dinghy, and that story was not forthcoming, and it's now apparently going to be next week. Sure, it's going to be next week, but I can't believe that I did this at the start of the close season, almost the start of the close season. I know there's thousands of people worldwide that have been to the conventions, and I got one story in week one from Victoria Searle, and that is it. And obviously I gave one of my stories as well. So that's kind of lame, folks. I have to say that I know for a fact there's some brilliant stories out there that would kind of give an opportunity to reminisce, and especially maybe even if the people are no longer around, and there's some stories about those that have left us to go to the Grand Lodge in the sky, as it were. So please, I'm going to keep this going, because it was not something just to kind of tie in some time or take care of some time over the summer break. It was just, I think it's a good thing to do, and once we get a few in, hopefully that'll inspire others to give us their stories as well. I did promise last week. Actually, I didn't promise. I said last week that we would hopefully have a VIP announcement out. and we're going to coincide that VIP announcement with, hopefully, with the ticket pricing. So it probably won't be this week. Maybe it will. Maybe it will be this week, and then we'll get the ticket pricing out for next week. But we have a video from said VIP, and I'm really looking forward to getting that out there on our socials and our other communications channels, just to get a wee bit of a buzz, to make it start feeling like a convention again. It's been a wee bit weird over the summer here, just kind of trying to self-motivate ourselves to continue doing what we're doing. We do have our bi-weekly meeting with Rangers this week. We missed out on it a couple of weeks back there, so we'll get back in the saddle with them, and hopefully it goes ahead this week. I know they'll probably be busy with preparations for the match at Tynecastle, but we do need to sit down and talk to them and just figure out what's happening where and make sure everything is ticking along. In terms of our communication for this week, I'm hoping this week is going to be the last week without the Gers Guide, and next week we'll get back into the Gers Guide again, because I really did enjoy that segment, and it was good for the club to put that sort of stuff in summary together. But one thing I did notice last week, you probably had an email about this if you're subscribed to any of the Rangers email distribution lists, is RTV Studios Presents. Isn't that fancy? RTV Studios Presents, and there are 4 shows. I think 3 of them are just regurgitated from the archives, but there was another show that they were kind of promoting as the highlight show, which was Olympians who graced Ibrox Park, and there was a wee bit of a snippet on that at half-time on the game against Union Berlin if you were tuned into RTV for that. The other 3 stories are Mojo, the most shocking transfer in football, which is of course Mo Johnson's signing for Rangers in 1989. I still vividly remember that. That was utterly wild. I remember, I'll tell you just a wee quick tidbit. My dad came in about 2 o'clock from his work and kind of threw down the papers on the couch like he would do. I grabbed the paper, went upstairs, read it, and it says Mo Johnson for Rangers, and I was like, weird. Came back downstairs. I said, what do you make of that? And he said he signed this morning. And it was just shockwaves through our house. It was kind of wild. The next one is Aflame with Excitement, which dives into the famous 1964 Scottish Cup final, famous for the contribution of Miller and Brand, with over 120,000 supporters in Hampden Park for that one. And the last one is One Night in May, and it's Neil McCann, Lorenzo Amoruso, Sergio Perini, and Jonathan Johansson, and many more, it says, discussing the title triumph at Sharkhead 25 years ago this year. So yeah, RTV Studio Presents, and I like it. It looks great, and if you're subscribed to RTV, I would encourage you to go and check that out. I'm definitely going to go and check out the Mo Johnson one. That was so fun and so funny, and obviously divisive for certain parts of the support and such. It was just a big deal, I guess, is probably the best way to say it. We are still working through the Supporters Club registration process, and we'll get moving on that. We've got a few action items. We'll get back into the groove here, folks, and make sure that everybody has what they need as we move forward. A couple of reminders of events that are happening in and around Rangers. At Edmiston House, presented by Parks Motor Group, we have an evening with Jermaine Defoe and Kris Boyd on the 30th of August. That's coming up pretty quick here. Tickets are still on sale at the Edmiston House website. On Friday the 27th of September is the Rangers Ladies Lunch, presented by Moulton Brown. And for the Rangers Charity Foundation, we have the annual charity ball on the 2nd of November at the Doubletree by Hilton. And the theme this year is 80s. It's the 80s, and if you missed it last week, this event is going to be totally tubular. Not Gary's words, but that's what the website says. Cringe. But that's going to be a great time, and my understanding is that the charity ball is always a fantastic time. And just one quick reminder, just to finish off on the communications. On the NARSA website, please go check out your club and make sure all the details there are correct. It's kind of AGM time for a lot of clubs. Some clubs do it during the close season, some clubs do it early in the season, like Calgary. We do it early in the season, and we need to update the information. If your location has changed, if your committee has changed, please do let us know, because people use that as they're coming in to visit. Okay, another short one for this week. I suspect they won't be from this point forward once we have actual games to talk about, but as always, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you very, very, very much for taking the time to listen, and please do share it with someone that you think might enjoy it. And here's to getting off to a flyer this week and fending off the absolute meltdown that we experienced after the Kilmarnock game at the exact same stage of last season. I alluded to that earlier. Nobody wants that. We need to get off to a good start. Philippe Clement has to find a team and a plan and a strategy and a philosophy to win this game as he continues to rebuild the squad, and this weekend I think is just the exact right time to make that happen. All the very best, folks. Take care, and I'll talk to you next week. Follow